Well, I'm actually really very disappointed in myself. I've managed to actually delete about 60 minutes of video that I took, stripping the gearbox down, all of this up here. Oh, I'm a bit sick over it, so anyway, I'm just carry on with what I've got left. This is the cylinder for a Century, British Silver Century outboard engine. It is in very, very good condition. As you can see, there's no cracks, there's no dings, there's nothing. I've mic'd up the bore. Well, I'm saying I've used my vernier gauge, which is pretty accurate, and the bore at the bottom is exactly the same as the bore at the top, which means that there's practically no wear on it at all. An easy way to check, one of the most sensitive bits of equipment you've got for checking out like that is your finger, and if you just run it up and down, if there's a lip though, or there's any wear, you'll actually feel it. That's fine, I like that, that's okay, it's in good condition. As you can see, I'm going to clean this bench up one of these days. As you can see, the bore is good, all of the waterways are good, there's no blockages anywhere. What I'm going to do now is start working on the piston, and I think I'll change the piston rings as well. I don't know if they need it, but I've got new ones, so I may as well do it while I've got them. I'll just show you that now. Right, there's the piston rings. We'll get these off carefully. You can actually, these are quite brittle, and you can actually break them if you are not quite careful with them. I'm not that bothered with these because, as I say, I've got some new ones anyway, and I will be replacing them. I'll mic them up first and see what we've got compared to the new ones. Right. Yeah, 3.2 mil exactly. 3.2 mil exactly. Okay, I'll go and get the other ones now, the new ones. They're in the house, so I'll just stop this recording. These are the new ones. Ugh. Pack them in oil. Right. Let's just measure them. What was the other ones? 3.2 across the flat, weren't there? Not a lot of up and down play on them. Let's see what we've got here. 3.2, exactly the same. 3.2, exactly the same. 1.95 across on the actual bore itself. Right, let's just try one of the old ones. I don't think it's going to be any different. .195, exactly the same. There's no word on them old ones, but as I said, I've got these new ones, so I may as well put them on. Won't do any harm. They're not going to be coming off again, not in my lifetime anyway. Right. And right, what you do when you put them on, there's two little nicks in them. One there, one there. They go to the bottom because they locate on these pins. There's a couple of little pins there. Don't know if you can see them or not. Hold on. See? There. Right, we'll put these on very, very carefully. Actually, they do seem a little bit tighter going on than the others was coming off. Ooh, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't want to bust them. Oh well, there we go, that's one. Right, when the rings are compressed, that little cutout on the actual ring sits over that pin. It's just to stop the ring from moving around while it's operating. This one I think we'll go on from the bottom, because no, it's okay, it's gone on okay. That's exactly the same. As you can see, I'm gonna have to do something with this light. As you can see, it's exactly the same. Okay. Right, that's that done. Conrod, little end. The bushes on them are quite good. I've already checked that. They're really, really good. There's no play at all on them. But when you put these back on, always remember the slope bit goes to the bottom. I actually did one once, a few years ago, where I put it that way. Now, that interferes with the exhaust gases going out, and it interferes with the petrol and air mix coming in. Because I'll show you on the cylinder in a minute. It's actually, you need it that way because as the exhaust gases flow down that section into the exhaust and away. The result of me doing it that way that time was that it run rough all the time, really, really rough. Backfire. I tried everything. I reset the points. I bought new plugs. I bought a new lead. Everything. And then I went onto a site called Saving Old Seagulls. It's run by a fella who used to be a Thames River policeman. It's a very, very good site, Saving Old Seagulls. His name's John. And there's a mine of information there, really, really good. And I realised I'd put the bloody piston on the wrong way around, which is not something you're supposed to do. Where's that one? Now the purists amongst you are going to be, oh, you can't do it with a blow lamp. Yeah, you can, quite easily, as long as you don't overdo it. I'll show you what I'm doing. Warming it up all the way. This allows the gudgeon pin to go in on the small end. It doesn't need to be too hot, because I don't want to crystallise that oil that I've put on the piston rings. I'm just going to check that now. One of these days I'm going to grow myself a brain. Right, that goes in like that. Oh, make sure that the make sure that goes to the top. I'll tell you the reason in a minute. And that slides in very, very easily. Right, so just let that cool off before I put the gudgeon pin in, before I put the circlip in. Yeah, the reason for that being at the top, the block 10 being at the top, is because it just stops the oil from building up as it's driving backwards and forwards. There's going to be some going past. If you had the hollow end to the top, it would gradually fill up with oil. Not that it would do any harm, I suppose, but it's not supposed to do that. Okay, I'm going to switch the camera off now while I... Cylinder, as I said, this one is in quite good condition, and what I'm going to be doing shortly, that's all pretty clean, what I'm going to be doing shortly is mounting the cylinder onto the crankcase. Now, to mount that, to the crankcase, you need a gasket. This is the original one. I'm not a fan of reusing gaskets, fibre gaskets, cork gaskets. I don't really like them all that much, so I've got a new one here, as you can see, you know, identical to it, it's just a new one. What I'll be doing is putting some liquid gasket stuff around here. That'll go onto it. I'll compress it, put some more liquid gasket stuff on it, and then I'll mount it onto the crankcase. I will only put these on. I'll only put these 4 nuts on. I'll put them on quite and tight, just to compress all the gasket goo. I'll give it about 12-25. Probably tomorrow morning. I'll tighten them up, and that will then compress it all down onto it. I'm filming. That was the wife interrupting me. Right, this is what I use. It's called Vital Blue. You know, I think all that it is it's a silicone rubber, which it works. So what the heck? If it works, don't knock it. Now we'll compress this down like so, so as that all of the gasket stuff squeezes out and makes a mess. I'll clean all that up when I'm done. I like to make sure I've got it all the way around the cylinder base, because as I say, this part here at the bottom of the crankcase is responsible for the primary compression. Okay, right, put a bit of this on now. Do you know, I wish I hadn't deleted that other lot. There was some cracking footage on it about the gearbox and everything, because the gears on this, honestly, they look like they've just come off the storeroom shelf. They're immaculate. Best thing is to have all your nuts and bolts at the ready. I've got fires up and touching wood as well. I think it will. I hope it will anyway. Otherwise I'm going to look a right fool when I put this on live. Right, the technique now, once you've got those rings lined up on them 2 pins I mentioned earlier on, what you've got to do is to start your cylinder moving down. Now here, if you have a look, there's a chamfer on the edge of this cylinder here. That actually I'll put a little bit of oil on that. I don't want to get any on the gasket goo, so I'll put it on the bench and just put it around there. That actually allows the piston rings to compress as it goes into the cylinder, I hope. Okay, here's number 1. Right, that's number 1 piston ring in place, and this is going to be, that's number 2. There we are.